I'm really going to just take my time with it today and go on a long rant about things that I would tell a mom who wants to build a big business and make a big impact and leave a big legacy. Because when it comes to building a business, it really is an extension of yourself. And the way that you do that comes at a cost. And I just want to be able to go back and share a lot of my frustrations and things that I wish that I knew, or things that maybe I dealt with that I'm glad that I didn't know about them before taking on this business venture. Because if you had laid it all out on the table and told me everything that was going to happen and along this journey, and if I was willing to still choose and accept this path, my answer probably would have been a lot different. And so there's two sides of the coin, because on one end is ignorance is a bliss, and it gave me the ability to learn and adapt in micro lessons. But if I could look back and give myself back a lot of years and time wasted, or maybe some financial investments, is I would save myself the cost of not having the self-awareness that I did whenever I was going into my business, and making a bit fewer mistakes that maybe could have propelled me or catapulted me in a different way. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, I have just a few bullet points because I want to stay on task and be able to also, get off of script along the way and build a lot more of interpersonal rapport and dialogue and context. But I do have a few bullet points. And number one is something that I'm very vocal about, and that is that your identity matters, your purpose matters, your story matters too. And I believe that a lot of women, for all the right reasons, we exchange our identities when we do become a mom. And I believe that it's unfair. And if I have one regret, it was that I thought that to be a mom, I had to be not who I was, or that my story was diluted because I did have to take on this new sense of responsibility. I think also being a mom, the way that we have that natural nurturing sense. And I mean, I would give everything up today for the well-being of my daughter, but there's just ways around it. And I believe that also my journey of being a businesswoman and my daughter being able to watch me grow and develop and being such an equal participant, because I was a single mom when I went into building my business, is that the benefits have tenfold outweighed the cons of being a single parent and being a mom and a businesswoman and an entrepreneur. Um, and I think that, yeah, we have to stop exchanging our identity at the altar of motherhood. It is just unfair. And we live in duality with so many things. And I do believe that you can be ambitious and passionate about your purpose just as much as you love your children, or you love your family, or you value the way that you take on motherhood. And a lot of this is going to show you, or maybe challenge you about some of the guilt that we carry trying to live in duality of both. And this is for the corporate baddies, this is for the businesswoman, this is also for the high performing athletes that are trying to navigate their career. This is for someone who is really in a limbo of who they are and not feeling fulfilled in that area, but also quietly knowing that you're ignoring a major part of who you are, or you haven't done that internal work to be able to really have that compass and self-awareness. The cost of not having self-awareness has cost me so many years of isolation, of having a horrible relationship with myself, of resentment, losing out on a lot of great opportunities in mirror in and memories and experiences, and just being an equal participant in life and not letting myself be impulsive to life and reactive to it. And so, yeah, your story matters, and nobody is going to care more about you than you are. We are all in our own world, and we're all designed to find our purpose in life and to fulfill that purpose. And so I also say that so that you can release the frustrations and the expectations that you might be placing on other people because you are not participating in your life, and you might be contempt or resentful or anxiously attached to somebody else's story and not feeling like you're getting that fulfillment, because it's your job and it's your responsibility to find what your values and needs are and to learn how to meet them yourself. I think everything works synergistically. So a lot of the things that I have learned in my relationship with my fiance, that I have read in books about as being a businesswoman or being a mother or my faith, is that all of these things are interconnected, and it's how you build that ecosystem in yourself that it should be reflecting in every area and every dimension of your life and wellness and relationships. Number 2 is identify what truly matters and say no to everything else. This point met me at a really, really dark place. When I came to realize this, it was a little bit too late, and it could have cost me a lot of things had I not been chastised by this. And I was in such a dark place. I had climbed every hierarchy. I checked a lot of things off of the boxes of things that I wanted to do or accomplish, and they all felt so hollow and meaningless, and they just didn't satisfy me. And I remember looking back at my life. I had met my lover. I had a beautiful, healthy daughter who was thriving. My business was thriving despite a lot of other circumstances that could have prevented that. My family was healthy and happy. I had no reason to be as depressed as I was, but I was. And that's because I was so far away from myself that I realized that everything that I had worked for meant nothing to me because it didn't align with my values and what I truly wanted and what I truly needed. They were all just a result of performing out of a need for validation. It was like I was really just feeding into my compensations and unhealthy defense mechanisms that I had that were super maladaptive. And that's why I do believe that a lot of people who do find success, it doesn't ever really fulfill them because you were working towards something that you didn't really want and you didn't really need. And so I was at such a of like, what's next? What do I do? Why am I so miserable? Like, I really could have ruined my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with my family, friends that were, always making sure to come in and be a part of my life and check in on me. I could have really just neglected that. I was definitely ignoring all of the internal signs of my body. I was still just overexerting myself when it came to business, when it came to my health, and I wasn't seeing any fruits of my labor because my body was just completely rejecting anything that I put into it because I wasn't putting in anything of substance. And so I had to really take inventory of my actions and my behaviors and what my life had came to and the load and my capacity. And I really had to identify what it is that I truly wanted and why I wanted those things, and to be able to let go of anything that could be interfering with that. And I had to put a lot of stipulations and boundaries surrounding my time and my capacity and my mental health because it was at a make or break for me. And I really did fear that I was going to end up alone and far away from all of the people that I loved in my family because I had pretty much built my own personal hell thinking that I was creating my personal path to freedom. And, it was a little heartbreaking, I think, because in the beginning of my business, I realized that I was really just leaning into trauma and trying to prove something to other people, and it was more of a need of validation and to prove others wrong than it was to do things because it was best for me and because it would truly make me happy. Again, I think that that is something that I really regret not having, but I also have to give myself grace because I do get frustrated at the way that we are taught. And one thing that we are not taught is how to know ourselves and how to like work alongside ourselves and how to pursue what we really want, because there's just so many other things that are trying to, take away our focus and our freedom of time, resources, I think that that has been something that's super important for me in business as a mom is that I get to show my daughter like that you can create your own world and you can bring that to life and what that looks like. And yes, it also takes an extremely extreme amount of extraordinarily hard work. And I hope to also be able to show her how to do that with my morals intact and to never forget my why and to always, you know, really challenge myself on how am I showing up in these moments in my personal life and in my business life? How am I perceiving myself? How do others perceive me? Which brings me to number 3. Number 3 is something that um I believe is just an alternative to feeling guilty about being a business owner and how much time that might take away from your time with your kids or your time with your spouse or your time with family. There are so many sacrifices that come with building your dream life. And I don't even want to say sacrifices. It's really just parameters and things that you have to put in place to limit distractions and to make sure that you execute. It's knowing yourself really well to know, your gaps and your blind spots and your weaknesses and putting barriers in place to protect that when it comes to time management or when it comes to your environment or the people and places that you go or participate in. It's just about having that tunnel vision. And so I think a lot of people really have a hard time navigating that mom guilt. And one thing that I have been super fortunate to be able to do in the personal training industry is that involving your kids. I think that that has been such an extreme way to kill two birds with one stone and also involve your kids in learning valuable skills like consistency, like professionalism. My daughter also gets to see the journeys of my athletes or of my women. Like she gets to be an equal participant in building these relationships and watching them grow and develop and watching girls and women work extremely hard to get extreme results. The people that you look up to, like now she was 3 years old whenever I started my business, and now she's 8. And so we actually just went through my first wave of like when I started, I had a group of senior volleyball athletes, and now they are college graduates. And Brinsley gets to now like be exposed to just this environment. And she's like, wow, like, some of these athletes are studs, like, and people aspire to be them. And she gets to know and truly understand that they came in 3 days a week and they worked. This is overtime. Like they worked towards their goals and they just consistently showed up for themselves and they put themselves in uncomfortable situations and they did the hard things consistently. And so it's also about being careful what you wish for, because if you want to build a big business and you want to be with the big dogs, well, it comes at a big freaking price. And can you pay the price? What struggles come with your gifts? And what is the cost of living the life that you say that you want? And I think that it's been able to teach her just valuable skills that you're going to have to learn along the way whenever you say that you want to live an extraordinary life. Yeah. So one of my points was be careful what you wish for, because it costs to know what you know. Most of the time, your strength is also like your Achilles heel. Like there's pros and cons that come with things, and the struggle that comes with your gifts. It's oftentimes really hard to navigate that, because how can you love something so much and it can also just hurt you so much? I feel like from somebody that used to be a people pleaser and somebody who as a kid was taught that to get and receive love was to like prove your worth or to add value to other people's lives and to make others' lives easier. It was super crippling, but it's also like, this is what I do. Especially like even being in the medical field, it's like my cup is filled whenever I'm helping others. And if you're going through a hard time, to just be that light and to just help someone whenever they're going through a hard place, like those things just would fill my cup. And I think in a hospital setting, it was like doing that under such extreme measures and being also like in the hospital in my hometown, it's like you're also coming across people that you've grown up with and their families. And it was just a really dark place that I felt like didn't suit me really well. It wasn't something that I wanted to see myself doing and carrying that for the rest of my life, just because I felt like having to be exposed to situations like that at such extremes made me have to decide to take my heart out of the equation. And that's a really dangerous place for me to be is whenever you're not as affected by death or about people's health and well-being. Like you'll see these people coming in consistently, alcoholics, drug addicts, people with these really horrible conditions and the impact that it takes on their family, and seeing them also incompetent and like not even wanting to help themselves. I think a majority of the people that are in really bad spaces, they've almost given up. And it's really sad to see how that impacts their family and just the people that are extensions of them. And that is why I decided to switch from being more in the front line of healthcare to being more of the preventative side of healthcare. And I want to help people that want to be helped. I want to help people that want to figure this out, who want to be an equal participant in growing and developing, because what's on the other side of that is just, gosh, it's so amazing to just be such a small fragment of someone's transformation. And it's just really cool. Like, I think that like both of us always win throughout every single client testimony in helping hundreds of women. Every single story matters so significantly to me. And it's just so cool to watch. Like, yeah, be careful what you wish for. And also don't envy people that are succeeding in one area because you don't know what they had to give up to achieve it. And that mindset really helped me heal and release a lot of expectations to also not abandon yourself and your values trying to achieve something, or I guess for me, not abandoning my values in order to gain like respect or connection to other people. And that's really hard to do. Like in a predominantly male industry, it's a male dominated industry. And I think that I dealt with a lot of frustration, taking advice, because most of the advice out there is from males. Most of the people that see success and they talk about it and they brag about it, it's males. And there's not a lot of women that you can lean on and that you can, seek out and find advice from, and, be able to just work alongside their wisdom and what they've obtained and the lessons that they've learned. I've battled a lot of different philosophies that, or not sharing the same values. I remember my first job, I was an independent contractor at that gym, and the owner told me, have a like good luck trying to make it in this business and keeping your morals intact. And that was over, like, I think it was sales. I think that, their argument was people would sell their house. Like if you did a good enough job, is that people would sell their house to be able to afford your services, or people would, sell if they got a Louis Vuitton. Like there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to convince them that they can be your client. Like if they can spend it somewhere else, they can spend it here, and it's up to how you sell it. And I don't know, I don't believe that I want to take away from someone's livelihood in order to provide them a service. And it's really a shame because it's so easy to help others and to give sound advice, or or if you see something, to just be able to provide that because it costs you nothing. And I honestly, being that my business pretty much runs off of referrals, I have been there really aren't any words. Like we're going to talk about this, but people used to just say that I'm lucky because not often in 3 years of having your business can you on your own generate a 6-figure business. And I even don't know how I do it. I didn't know how I did it. And people used to always say like, oh, she must have did this to get this, and it's because she knows this person and that she got this thing, or she's just lucky, or it's just like when a woman obtains something, it's like, oh, like, well, she must have had to done something. She must have had to just sell something to be able to get it. And I have always had such a like just we come into this life with one chance to make something of ourselves, and my character and my integrity is something that I value, and I will never compromise that for anything or anyone, because I just can't live with that on my subconscious. Like, it's so funny because, like, if I think something bad about somebody, if I like have a nasty thought about someone's outfit or something, like, I'll trip and fall. Like, God will check me right at the door. I don't like to have a guilty conscience. I don't like to treat other people wrong because the way that it makes me feel, like when you're always on edge, like that's what I don't get. Like when people like gossip about a lot of people, or people that are like compulsive liars, it's like you just live and it makes you feel like you're a paranoid schizophrenic. Like I just can't live with a guilty conscience because I don't want to look over my shoulder in everything I do. I don't want to have to remember and keep track and record of, excuses or lies. And I think it's just if you treat people well, it usually just comes back even better. And a lot of times that has been the case that, I had a really great encounter with one person, and because that is so rare that they spoke of me well in other rooms, and that created another client or another relationship or another opportunity or another partnership or collaboration, just these opportunities that it takes a lot out of you to exert so much love and care and invest so much time in the betterment of someone, because you also learn I get to learn by every single person, because every single person is just unique and comes with their own diverse qualities and characteristics and circumstances, that it's like we have to figure this thing out. And truly each person that comes in, we're building their own personalized, customized approach to reverse engineering their goals. And because I've seen so many situations, it's like, and built real, transparent, and honest relationships with people, is that they can come in and be authentic and be honest about who they are and the things that they're really going through, and we can really like work through those things, and that helps me help another woman along the way. When we talk about identify what truly matters, involve your kids appropriately. You matter, of course. And when you do, okay, let's get into this. So I am not a person that likes conflict, especially like I said, it's like realizing that to have love and connection and to have a sense of community. A lot of times I realized looking back now that I had to dilute myself in order to be able to fit into rooms. I think that I really love it about myself is like I just am not a bystander. I was a leader by nature. I was okay with pissing people off by telling the truth. I was okay with holding people accountable to their actions and their words. You might call it being a bully to bullies. Like I believe in just being a good person and having your own thoughts, and like, and I think that was just something that like was super unique and awesome about me as a kid. I always had the best intentions and I stood by my values, and I had different opinions on certain things, and I wasn't just the type of to conform to others' ideas just because we all raised our hands and took a vote. Like I felt when I felt really strongly about something, I abided by it and I listened to it, and I would separate myself if that's what it came to, because I just couldn't represent myself well if I wasn't able to actually be myself. I was really great at letting people come to me as they are with flaws and being true to who they are. And like I had a very diverse amount of friends. Like I was always in advanced placement in class, and so I had like really smart friends, and then I was also an athlete, so I had really athletic friends, and I had really funny friends. I had like people I grew up with who, came from different cultures and ethnicities, and um, I got along well with a lot of people, a lot of different people. And I think that was for two reasons, is that like I didn't judge others, and I also like I just could show up as myself, and I didn't have to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. And it was just a reciprocal exchange, between two people. And I just think that that's something that I really now really love about the teenage version of myself, and that I was excited to get back to, because never did I ever conform to other people's ideas or expectations of me, and I didn't let people put me in a box. And I think a lot of times that showed up as being rebellious or being snobby or thinking that you're superior to others or intimidating, but really it was just me standing on business. It was just me respecting myself, and people don't like that sometimes. And if they don't, it's better that you just don't participate, or you just create space from those people, because it's so infectious. And that season served its purpose, and also what it did was really light a fire underneath me to create an environment like that, environment that supports and advocates and spreads word, and is just like, hey, if you're someone who just can't find a group of girls that just want to get better, like this is a place to be. You will be supported to that. Like that is the standard here. Like that is, we might have so many other things indifferent to one another, but that is our one commonality, is if you can come here as a beginner in your middle stage, you could be the most successful one in the room, but we are all still here to learn something from the young to the old, the rich, the poor. Like, there's always something that you can learn. And like, it's like, no questions too stupid. Like, you can be who you are here. And you're embraced. If anything, like, we want you here. This is a place for you to be. And I needed a place like that growing up. And it's just been so amazing to just be able to be connected to so many women like that. Like, I don't even think that they know how awesome they are, because seeing them in a group in a training session, all like just getting along and laughing and cheering each other on, and just like catching up and dropping the tea, and just like being able to brag about themselves or see how far we've come. Or when a new person comes in, like, for them just to be like, hey, it's going to get better. Like, you're going to be sore the first month, but like, you're going to look back on these times and be like, dang, like, I can't believe how hard day one was. And man, it's just so amazing, because would never see those women, in a room together anywhere else but here. Like, we love it, and we look forward to seeing each other, and like being able to have our own unique strengths and skill sets. Like, what good can't come from that? And it's just not a competition. Like, I truly believe that in order for me to win, another woman does not have to lose. And I don't have to accept breadcrumbs, because my God is an abundant God. My God is limitless. My God can completely change the world of countless other women, and also change mine. And I'm just not going to limit myself to accepting crumbs, because other people think that I'm making them feel small by me just embracing who it is that I am, and knowing that I was built to do remarkable things and to be extraordinary. And like, yeah, I don't see, I guess I'm happy that I don't understand that mindset of not wanting to see other people win. And like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't get it. And I hope that people heal from that, because I think that being on the other side of people treating you that way is that it causes a lot of self-doubt and a lot of confusion, and a lot of like thinking that you're broken, or like thinking that you're doing something wrong. And I think like I just spent a lot of time, like, and I had given up on finding real meaningful like friendships with other women was super hard, and something that I had to like learn and unlearn and relearn and do a lot of healing from, because there was just so many people that I really like loved and was let down by, because they didn't stand up for me, or they didn't have that in them yet, and maybe they regret it eventually. There's also some relationships that I've been able to heal and rekindle, because as we matured through life, we realized and were able to take ownership for where we fell short. And I've done that a lot too. I've been the bad person in someone's story as well. And I hope that I've always can just go back inwards and check my heart and apologize for me not being in a place where I loved myself well enough to love other people too. Because it comes back to that. If you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And so your business, your relationships, your finances, they will all suffer if you don't love yourself. And that is something that I truly cannot be convinced otherwise. So I think it's also just important to identify your fears and your needs and be able to meet them yourself. And that helps you lead your own self through life, and how to be self-led and how to actually be a leader. Because I don't know who said it, but to be a leader, you don't need any followers. You just need to start and to take on your own path. But yeah, learning how to cultivate a relationship with yourself, that you trust yourself and you love yourself, and to be a steward to yourself, and ultimately that you can do hard things, because you rely on yourself, and you know what it's going to take, and you trust yourself to execute. If you really want something, you're going to hone in on it, and you're going to execute. And that, I think, is what confidence looks like, and what influence looks like, and what authority looks like, and what a great leader looks like, is somebody that just walks the talk, and they're not a hypocrite, and they're not going to ask something of someone that they can't do themselves, and just place unrealistic expectations on themselves or other people. And, I think that ties into mistakes that I've made. I would say the biggest mistake that I've made in business is not taking more risk or playing it safe. I would say that because I think I think all women have this trait of just like having a discernment and like that gut feeling. I think that not trusting myself, and by playing it safe, what I really mean is that like I stayed in situations for longer than I should have. And And with that is maybe I endured a lot more pain than I should have had I left whenever I knew it was my time to go. I think that just the damage of staying in situations for too long can a be toxic, and it could be counterproductive to, even if you have the best intentions, or even if you have loyalty towards a certain person, or you've built this rapport and relationship, or if you're comfortable where you are. I think that if you're not growing, a dangerous place to be is in a place of complacency. And I really like what I learn on the other side of discomfort. And I think some of my biggest testimonies, and a lot of women's testimonies, are on the other side of taking big quantum leaps and doing it afraid. So yeah, I would say that that has been, if I were to just trace back some of my top three frustrations out of this business, it would probably come down to overstaying my welcome and not leaving whenever I probably knew that I should be leaving, you know? What would be another big mistake that I have made? The second big mistake is not having the end in mind. I think for future projection is that you have to set your eyes on a target. And when I went into my business, I didn't have any of the knowledge. And so I was, of course, just being a student and being a sponge and absorbing everything that I could, but I didn't know what did I want to turn this all into? And really, I was just trying to see if this could be a stable source of income, because like entrepreneurship in such a small town just was never really an option. So as I was learning about it and seeing and being placed in an environment where other people were also, assuming that position and taking that risk, was, I thought, it was just like a really cool and infectious environment. You have to have a different type of mentality to take on entrepreneurship, I swear. And it's a really fun journey, and you're going to meet really, really cool people with really cool perspectives and outlooks on life. And so in that time, I didn't really know what was to come of all of this. And I think that it's really hard to be productive and not just busy. You're actually going to hear me say this a lot because my mentor, Kat Johnson, she is literally a pillar in the real estate industry. I mean, she's a dog. You want her on your team. Her mentor, Jason Edwards, he wrote a book, and I cannot remember the name of it. She gave it to me though. I will find it and we will talk about it. Hopefully, I can have him on an episode at some point because I think that he has so much things to share, and I think that'll be exciting. What? Go. But one thing that he said in his book that stood out and that changed my life was being productive and not busy. So many people, like if you ask, I mean, I would just say if you go and ask three people, like, how's your day? And they're just like, oh, especially a woman, like, oh, I'm busy. Like, I just have to, like, what did you do yesterday? Like, some people can't even remember what they did yesterday. It's like, we're just so busy and we're not even being productive. And it's like, it's just because we're not actually working towards something. We're just doing to feel like we're being productive and just to feel like we're, taking up space and but if you're not working towards something, you are delaying your outcome, and you can waste a lot of time by not having a fixed mindset. It was a visual that I saw one time. I think it was probably like on maybe YouTube or Instagram, but there was someone shooting a bow and arrow with a blindfold on, and it's like, and the target is moving, and she's shooting and she's with her eyes open, like she could just hit every target, straight down the line. And with a blindfold on, in that target, like always moving, is like, it was impossible for her to hit it. And I just think that relative to people's lives is we all move and maybe operate in that way. And I know that I was for the first 2 years of my business because I was working with different clients to see who I really liked to work with, who I didn't like to work with, things that came easy, things that I enjoyed, also like, learning new skills and learning different people's needs, until I came down to just, understanding that the people that I can lead well and who I want to assume responsibility for and who I know I can help towards a certain outcome is high performing women. And that's because that's also who I am. And I do believe that, to be a good leader is you've had to walk that path. But I'm so thankful for all of the situations and people that invested and trusted me along the way to really being able to identify and learn more about myself, and so that I can leave an imprint on this world, and I could, let them go whenever I realize like, this is as far as I can take you, let's not waste any more time or money. Like, but here's the next person that I've came to know. and they are going to be able to serve you well, better than I can because we're not on the same mission, or I might not be equipped with the knowledge or the expertise to take you further than where I'm at currently, you know? And so I would say number three, the third mistake that I have made in business is not taking full credit for my work. Yeah, let's get into that. I just believe that I have always believed in myself, but I was often underestimated, especially being a woman in a male dominated industry. The unhealthy parts of me would like let that be ammunition to, proving other people right, is oftentimes I chase things for validation or to prove things to others or myself. And it served a great purpose. Again, like I earned respect in the places that I was in, and you could come in and say what you want about me, but if you worked alongside me, you just could not outwork me. I have a great work ethic. I am consistent. I am a sharp shooter, and I can leverage opportunities, and I can like when I see an opportunity, I can bring that thing to life. You want me on your team because with me on your team, we are going to succeed without a doubt. It's just favor that I have is that anything that I touch, I can bring to life. And I have always just really loved that about myself. And because whenever I want something, all of my senses just are centered towards that. And I think that's probably like a great superpower of someone who is ADHD is that oftentimes, people might think that we're impulsive or that we're forgetful, but no, like it's just about focus, extreme focus. Like, and it's super important that you just exert your energy towards your purpose, towards making a impact, and being of service to others always serves you well. I would see how other women would accept accolades or accept compliments, and we just have a really hard time of like accepting compliments or accepting credit or letting people like pour into us. Some people might even like have a really hard time asking for help or accepting help. And I would just wonder, why is that? Because we work so hard. It's just I don't know where that gets us or what that leads to. And so I had to learn because I also really didn't want my daughter to not have these skills of taking credit and being proud of yourself and celebrating yourself. Like, I know my daughter, she did not like me for so long because I really saw that she was struggling in math and how frustrating that could be, and also just thinking of like being in school and, being called out. Like, that probably is like a huge fear for people. Like, maybe public speaking, I think, is like a huge fear for some people. I think, I want to put her in situations that will benefit her. And I saw that she was really struggling in math class. And so I put her in tutoring outside of class, and she did not like it. Like, it was extra homework. It was extra things for both of us to do. I had to pay for it. I had to take her there twice a week. I had to carve out time in my day, and she would literally leave from school and we would go to tutoring. And every single day she would have homework, and she would have to have those completed by the next time that she came in. And it was hard to see her really struggling with something. And I don't know how they even teach kids math nowadays, because I was not going to take it on because I don't know what the heck they're doing anymore. Like, I can count, like we used to be able to count on our fingers or like draw and stuff. Like, it was more school nowadays is more about learning the process to completing something than it is about, it takes away like that innovative engine that makes us all unique and helps with problem solving skills and allows for creative freedom. It took me like over an hour to help her answer 10 questions. I was like, girl, I don't have time for this. That's something that I'm going to pay for and delegate because it's going to conserve my time and sanity, and someone else is better than me at this. And also my daughter, I think too, like really struggles with people pleasing tendencies. And because I was in that chapter of my life of really realizing that and having to forgive myself for a lot of the situations that I ended up in because of my people pleasing like tendencies, is that I want her to practice openly in safe environments to not be a people pleaser and to use her voice and to take up space and explain her thought process, and her voice matters and she has an input, and I care about what she cares about. And it was really hard to see her struggling in school because that's just something that I had never really had a problem with, and she didn't like going, and it was just very frustrating for both of us. But she ended that year 93rd percentile for math, and she really like was, when she got that achievement, it felt so good to her, and she realized that like the value of her hard work and how important that like she was just so proud of herself. And I was just so happy to like, sometimes it's like you want to parent out of guilt and you want to make everything easier for them, but I had to put myself aside because I knew that I would be taking away an extraordinarily important experience for her to learn, and she has to go through these situations. And my job as a parent is not to make my daughter codependent on me for the rest of my life. If I were to die today, I want my daughter to know that she can stand on her own 2 feet and she can trust her abilities, and she has been provided with, like, whatever I create out of this world and out of my business should provide a foundation for her to stand on, that she has the freedom to decide what she wants to do with her life and be equipped with the skills to do it. And that to me would be a successful life and a successful ending to my role as a mom. And it was just really cool to see her celebrate herself. And she made that super important for me, is if I take on a quest, like, to learn how to reward myself through it, and even if it sucks today, like, if it's important enough that by the end of it, it's all going to be worth all of the things that I had to quote unquote sacrifice to obtain it. So that was something that really she taught me. And um I wouldn't say, well, maybe this also goes into like mistakes that I made, was not knowing my strengths and not knowing what my superpower is, and knowing, and like being able to articulate like what it is that I'm good at and be able to like use that in my benefit and leverage that. And I think that my strength is, again, like, you want me on your team. You do not want to be up against me. I would be the worst person to be matched up with as your opposition, because I am resourceful, I'm scrappy, and I am just I'm competitive with myself. I'm driven by that competition too. Like, I want to make it fun and get where we need to go, and hopefully just not be miserable along the process. Like, so I can fall in love with delayed gratification, and I can fall in love with the basics and do the basics really well and expedite that and build systems around them that they are now just like lifelong skills. I'm just impossible to beat. I accept the invitation of opportunity, despite feeling sometimes maybe unworthy, or feeling like I don't have as much knowledge or as much money, or feeling worthy or having that self-doubt. Like, that still is not going to keep me from accepting the invitation, because I fear way more living in regret. I fear more missing an opportunity and living in regret more than I do of other people's perceptions of me. And so I will look stupid. I will take on the small minuscule task if it means that I'm going to learn new skills and I'm going to learn something that I'll be able to leverage later. Because some people just won't put themselves in positions of humility. And I do respect myself in the way that I carry myself, but I don't believe that I'm superior to anyone. I think that also is, what do we do this all for? If we want to, what comes with your business is financial freedom, is that you should use and invest that money into things that will buy back your time. And so, with me and my husband, I told him, when we make it, like when we become wealthy and rich, we are buying back our time. We'll never argue about who's doing the dishes, because we will have somebody who comes in our house once a week. And if we get just filthy rich every day, like, we will have someone that cleans our house, and that will no longer be an argument to us. And I don't want to have the argument of like, what are we eating today? Because like, we neither of us want to make a decision. Like, we will buy back our time and our freedom so that we can have more experiences and vacations and time with our family, and we can have less of those stupid little arguments that get in our way, because life just comes with so much. I will be able to travel abroad and bring my daughter with me, because we will bring a freaking tutor. Like, if like that's what I want. Like, I want to be able to have no limitations to what I can do, and bringing my family alongside with me and having those experiences. I want to travel the world, and I want to make an impact in places that I never would have been able to touch had I not done X, Y, and Z. And I want my daughter to see it. I want us to be able to experience new cultures and environments and community. I just want to be able to have freedom to say yes when I want to say yes, and say no when I want to say no, and not be restrained by limitations such as freaking money. Money is a tool, and I don't hate money. Money loves me, because what I do with money, I'm going to make impact, and I'm going to make the world better, and I'm going to help other women, and like money is just a tool. It's just a vehicle. The same way that you're going to put gas in your car, money is going to get you where you need to go. And stop being afraid of money. Like, women that are afraid to say that like their husbands are filthy freaking rich. Like yes. Like why are we ashamed of that? And just do you use it well? Like do you just have flashy stuff that like just to show off and you have no substance to your life? No. Like I never want to get lost. People perceive money to like, I don't care about the money in my bank account, but I want to be able to use that to be able to continue to build on impact and create legacy and to help other people. Like, always told my mom, especially working in the medical field, is like, my mom's not going to a nursing home. I got to make enough money by the time she has to retire because she's going to be home and she's going to, like, those are the reasons why we need money. Like, my daughter does not, if she wants to go to college, she's going to go to whatever college she freaking wants to go to. If she, like, she's going to have a safe car. Like, she's not going to have, like, my first car, I think I had a Saturn View. But when I got my car, I'm glad that, like, my parents, because they did always provide for us. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor. Like they always made a way and we lived well within our means. But like that was something that they're like, you're going to do that yourself. You're going to buy your own car. And I remember working at HEB, which I loved. It worked with my schedule and it gave me a lot of grace until it didn't, but that was because again, like the people in leadership were miserable. I was proud of myself whenever I earned my car and I bought my car and like that just like it was just like me stepping into adulthood and I never got an oil change in it. I got one oil change. Like I literally paid off that car before I got a second oil change. That thing, I don't even know what part of it. It was so loud that like I would just turn my music all the way up. Like it'd be like wah 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 wah. And eventually my engine locked up because I never got an oil change. I thought it was optional. I was like, thought you just had to put gas in it. Like, why does it need two forms of liquid to go? Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah. Well, I guess, like let's finish off with talking about that you're not exempt from suffering. You can't possibly think that you can live an extraordinary life and not have to do extraordinarily hard things or uncomfortable things or difficult things and most of the time like the really hard things are rather easy. It's waking up without pressing snooze. It's waking up. It's keeping the promises that you made to yourself. It is seeking help or seeing your blind spots and setting your clothes out the day before so that you can't say that you didn't go to the gym because you forgot your clothes. Like once you go through like really learning yourself and learning like the excuses that you're going to give yourself and the excuses that you make it and having a victim mindset, eventually you're going to get tired of that. And you're going to just take extreme ownership. High performing women are so great at taking ownership for their lives. They are in control of the outcome and they're not going to shift blame onto anyone else. They assume responsibility for things. They're not going to wait for somebody else to do it. Like that laundry that just always gets done and is folded and put it back in your drawers. Like she assumes responsibility. Like godsend are those stay-at-home moms. There's not enough words that I could say. Like being a teacher of like third graders and being a stay-at-home mom, you guys like cannot be replaced. You are irreplaceable. The things that you do and the humility aspect of it, you never are going to be reciprocated for the amount of things that you put in. And people like that can show up for people selflessly day after day and ask for nothing in return. Y'all are amazing. Honestly, there's nobody like you. It takes such a kindred spirit. And that's just something that I struggle with is having that performance like penalty of just being someone that like is afraid to rest or is afraid to let someone else take care of me or has so much of her identity held up in my role and position in life. And I'm, learning how to navigate that too. That comes with its own set of struggles. But yeah, what struggles come with your gifts? And I think just being a woman in a male dominated industry, and I don't want to get into like this feminine and masculine war because I think that oftentimes like we end up almost like really hating the other sex. Like we need our men. Men, if you assume your position well, like I have so much respect for Michael in my life because having experienced his love and his masculinity and assertiveness, like it lets me completely just conform to childlike state of just being that little girl again. It's irreplaceable. Like every girl needs a father and they need to have an example of what that masculinity looks like. And I'm so glad that I have found that and that my daughter gets to see me experience that in a relationship setting and he set that standard and also that she gets to just receive that as well. And it's just been really healing for both of us and rewriting our story and narratives and healing, unhealthy perspectives or patterns that we have had in other experiences. And it's still, your responsibility to not bring the trauma of one relationship into the next, and you have to do the work. Like that's why I think counseling is so important for yourself and in your relationship. I'm very thankful for the people in my life who did help me or did suggest premarital counseling. It's changed my relationship with Michael in so many ways because it's like you have to scan yourself and you also together are learning how to do that and learning each other's weaknesses and blind spots. And because we love each other so much, is like whenever I see him struggling with one area that I might not be struggling with, that I can be that extension to him and vice versa. And we've just really enjoyed that process and being able to hold each other accountable and to stretch each other and to, you know, also implement those things. And because we do love each other and we're in this for the long game, there's no other option but to in this life with one another. But I think that going through that and experiencing that in my relationship, 4 years after starting my business, is I realized the scales on my eyes were peeled back to the experiences that I've had with men, and they were unfair. Like you don't have to live in a place of being a victim, but I just really wish that I could hold that person because I realized how unfair certain situations that I had to go through were, and they were placed on me for no other reason, for no real reason. And I've had to pray a lot about that, but because the way that I think women in business get treated is maybe we're not aware of it. Like, because I wasn't aware of it myself. And I just kept having these like situations of like conflict or me feeling like, at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I wish like, why did that situation bother me so much? Like I couldn't pinpoint where I went wrong or who was to blame or like why I was feeling this way. And I don't think that, men do it from a place of like wanting to damage us, but I think that they have their own set of insecurities or their own work to do that, like the way that I would perceive them and the way that I would take them, like they don't know that sometimes they're invalidating us or that, they're not able to just like take themselves out of the picture and be able to just be more of an advocate for us and to give us this space and the floor and the environment to thrive. I poured myself out. I showed up authentically. I gave it my all. And being in so many rooms full of like great businessmen is that like my unique perspective and superpower and set of skills came from me fully embracing my feminine uniqueness and my own set of skills that only I had in that room. And it's my job to be able to also, bring awareness to this topic because I hope that it's going to reach other men who might be, because most men in positions of power, their assistants are usually women. The people that support their business and that take on most of that workload and don't even get compensated for the labor of it are women. Most successful, powerful men in business, they're married. They have a woman to go home to that is keeping their household running or, doing some of the back end work for handling their finances, for keeping them on task, for, setting up all of those appointments. Like that's again why I say like freaking stay at home moms, like you are so valuable. Like don't forget how valuable you are. Take inventory of how valuable you are. Like literally in one day write down a list of the things that you executed, and don't tell me that you don't believe that you can do amazing and great things and bring something to the table and that you don't have value. You're so valuable. But I think that what often would really bother me is the way that others perceived me, because the way that the feedback that I would get would be about more of like my personality than would be my performance. And, people would label me as bossy or feeling superior to others. And some people will perceive you in a certain way when really your expectations and your standards are so incredibly high, and you just don't have the capacity to give anything more. You don't, you're very blunt because I don't have time to have, just to be wasting time, like having meaningless conversation. Let's get to the point and let's get this stuff taken care of. Let's execute and let's get out of here. Like that's just how a high performing woman has the capacity to speak with people. If you are communicating with other people of that caliber, they respect that. They understand that they move in that same way. But somebody that doesn't is going to see you or label you as bossy, or she thinks she's better than everyone, or she thinks she's all that. Well, that comes with your own, issues. And I've had to learn to be okay with that. Like, and that was not always a pretty situation. It didn't always feel really good. But now, like, I have just learned after having those situations repetitively is that, like, it just comes with the game. Like, and if you don't give the next man that same conversation and that same energy, then don't bring it my way, because, like, I'm assuming my position, this is my role, and the way that I can keep showing up in this way is to protect my time and my energy. And if that to you looks like me thinking that I'm better than you, then I guess also a struggle that comes with being a successful businesswoman is that I get super frustrated when I experience, or when I have experienced, the pattern of having to exceed everyone's expectations, or having to do three times the work of the next person in order to have respect, or to be able to prove my worth, or for someone to finally see that, like, I'm equipped to be able to, and I could be trusted with the things that we're asking for. Like, I don't think that often women are given promotions or raises. Like, why do we fear asking for a raise whenever I have this long train of receipts and documentation as to how you have benefited off of me? Like, I want to be compensated. I don't want anything more than what I've earned, and I don't want anything less either. And that does not make me wrong for that. And that, I think I have had to learn to be okay with the conflict and the confrontation that comes with that, because it was also my fault for making it look easy, number one, but number two was for not articulating that and saying, hey, like, that's going to take me 2 hours out of my day. You didn't give me, you gave me a short notice. I'm going to have to cancel my daughter's dentist appointment. This completely reconstructs my day. Do you want me to handle this before you want me to handle the last thing that you asked me to do? Like, the mental turmoil that's going to come with that. Like, I want to be compensated for how I choose to exert my energy, and everyone should. And that's the hard part about being an employee, is that you have to live out someone else's dream. But when it comes to my dream, if you're not taking my brand and my business and the people that I represent into play, because my finances are going to fund how I can better serve them and others and myself, then you're disrespecting me. And disrespect cannot be tolerated. And there's no other way to deal with that situation than to deal with that situation. And I wasted a lot of time procrastinating, having hard conversations. There's no way to prepare for it. The first few reps are going to be ugly. Your hands might shake and your stomach might churn the first 2-3 times. But if I'm going to tell you again, is that if you cannot show up authentically in a relationship, you shouldn't be in that relationship. That relationship does not care for your development or for your well-being. They definitely don't give a damn about your business and the outcome of it. Some people just want to use you. Some people just like the leverage that they get out of just being in close proximity to you. And I've realized that out of a lot of disappointment, and it's had me super heartbroken sometimes, that I've had to reorient relationships, because I realized that if you can't respect my boundaries, then you don't care about me, honestly. And again, my partner in life has always done this really, really well. And because he has been able to be that example, my expectations of anyone else, because my family is the most important thing to me. My partner, my daughter, my mom, my brother, like, my family, I hold on a pedestal and I would die for. And if they can love me in the good, bad, and ugly, and if if they can respect my boundaries because they're usually on the opposite side, they usually get the short end of the stick to my business. If they can go to war with me, if they can listen to what I want to do with my life and how that might not also benefit them, then anyone else is going to have to conform to that idea. And that's really hard whenever you have cultivated relationships or have coworkers or have friendships or business partners that you thought that y'all have shared the same values. The imbalance of responsibility isn't, it's not equal, it's not balanced, it's not reciprocal. And if you can't voice that and have conflict and trust that that person is going to care about you and see your value, then, you know, it's a shame, but it's your responsibility on what you do with that and what you choose to do with it. And I guess my advice would be to continue hashing it out and having those tough conversations. It's your responsibility to leave situations like that. And it's really hard. It's really hard to do because I think that everything I do with my whole heart. And I don't take the advice of people of just giving up on other people because a lot of people gave up on me when I really needed someone to lean in and because people didn't see the signs. I don't believe in just quitting on other people because they're going through a hard time. I don't believe in loving less so that it hurts less. You're going to have to just take on the chance of getting hurt whenever you're in relationships to some people. But if you're not able to serve yourself or others well, or if it messes with the integrity of your character, then you're doing both parties a disservice by being a participant in relationships like that. You know, and some people also just learn by their absence of you in their life. And yeah, so I guess another struggle that I'm hearing just through having this conversation is how isolating and unsupported that you might feel along that journey. So it's important to nurture relationships, to not be selfish. I think for a long time, like I was just super angry or burnt out from, you know, exerting so much other energy into other things that really didn't matter, that I wasn't conserving enough relationships to conserving enough energy to be in good relationships. There's some friendships that I regret losing because I didn't delegate more time and to show up more and to be selfless. But I've also learned that because I have now experienced relationships where people are selfless and they know me, and because they love me, they show up for me, they see the signs, they care about me, they check in on me. I hadn't experienced that yet to be that person, but now that I've experienced it, I value it and I cherish it and I try to practice it a lot with a lot more intention. And so I'm super thankful those people are irreplaceable and so valuable in my life. And I'm glad that I have the friendships that I do have now. And I'm really actually excited to evolve this community so that I can be that person, because I used to really struggle with relationships with other women because I was let down, and my heart was broken by a lot of friendships where I was just cast out, or I wasn't able to just show up as authentically as I wanted to. I was, just, also surrounding myself with people that, felt like there was competition, or, and I really am excited for making more friendships. I think that's just something that will be really, really healing for me, that I really want to experience, because that's just something my mom has always had, is great friends that show up for her, friends that she's had since she was a kid, and every birthday they share, some of them have went through divorce, some of them have been re-engaged, some of them have lost family members, some of them have had, they became grandparents. They've celebrated each other in each season, in each chapter, in the highs and the lows, no matter how much life changes. And I've just always really cherished that. And I've always just had that desire. And sometimes that made me just like super anxious to lean in and trust people who I maybe couldn't, shouldn't, or was proven that I couldn't trust them. And I was just, very immature. Sometimes I was in the wrong and I let go of people and just kind of waved my white flag in the air and gave up on friendships because I didn't know how to navigate friendships. And yeah, that's just something that I really, really want to see and have and experience. Yeah. Let's get into that. So I would say the next thing is how difficult dating can be as a high performing woman who is trying to build a big business, because don't let anyone make you feel ashamed or make you feel crazy or make you feel like you can't obligate and separate your time out to creating this dream life. It's going to take so much time and clarity and energy to exert and time to rest and recover. Like, it's going to take so much time for you to like consistently just go back to the playbook and review and revise and re-edit and pivot and and lean in and lean out and make changes and like erase and scratch through things. Like, there's going to be this constant evolution that's going to happen. And just knew I just knew that, because people would make fun of me. They're like, "How are you? You're just so locked in. Like, how are you going to have friends? Like, you don't have any friends anymore. You don't go out with us. How are you going to find a man? Like, how are you going to do all these things if all you do is work, 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 work?" And I think like a lot of those same people, they really just wanted me to have that experience. I am not girlfriend material. I am wifey material. I already know that. I have always known that since I was a kid. I don't have time to play around. My body is a temple. I believe in like me being very family oriented, me taking being a mom as seriously as I do. Like, I am only meant to be a wife, and I would hate to waste anyone's time or my time trying to be anything else. So in that time, I'm going to pursue my passion and find my purpose, and God is literally going to drop that man in my life. And people would think that I was delusional. They think I was joking. Like, I knew, I was like, well, either God's either going to drop that man in my life, or I'm going to meet him through what I do, like through experiences that I will have along my journey in my business. And it's just so funny, like how me and Michael met, because my sister-in-law was having a birthday. Her birthday was in January. It was so cold outside. Like, I'm talking like it was probably like 12 degrees. It was so freaking cold. But she was coming in from San Marcos, and she, was getting all the friends together. And of course, like any plans do, is like you'll have like 12 people like, yeah, I'm going to go like the month before. And then it came down to like four of us. And so it was just really important that I be there, because that was somebody who also like would always be there for me if I needed it. That was someone that would show up for me. And so I'm like, hey, I gotta go. Mon'Tee, just get out of your extroverted bubble. It's okay to just put work on hold for one night, because my family is important. It's important that you show up and that you're there. And so she's also just like very extroverted. She wanted to go out to 6th Street and just like have a fun time, have a great time. So we went and we ate, and I was wearing like this like little bitty dress, like this little like Barbie doll dress, and we went and ate, and it was so cold. And luckily I had brought like an extra pair of clothes. The extra pair of clothes were like a pair of leather pants and just like a bralette, and I had like a throw on jacket to go over it. But we literally left from there and we went to 6th Street, and again, as competitive as I am in nature, I found a basketball machine. And when I tell you, like, I will spend my night there, and it was cold, like I needed to warm up. So swipe my card, and I'm having a shootout. I'm trying to beat the PR on the basketball machine. They want to go bar hopping, have their time. A time was had. And girls, y'all know the spiel of things. People come up, offer you drinks, and try to like interrupt. Like, I was on a roll, like people trying to interrupt your flow. And this one guy was trying to like, oh, like if I beat you, like, whatever. I'm like, hey, like there's a second one, like go ahead, but like I'm trying to play. Like I'm trying to set this PR. I was so close. And he leaves, and I hear somebody beside me, say like, what did he say? He was like you're doing a good job. Like, it was just something like super sweet, like just trying to like, cast his attention onto me and like, get my attention. And I was still like just pretty locked in. Like, I'm like, ooh, like my arm was getting tired. I was just trying to set this freaking PR. He comes again to me, and I just like, I look beside me, and I see this like 6'5" tall, handsome man with a cap on, and like I couldn't see his eyes yet. And I'm still playing, but I was like, ooh, I was like, that, I like this. I was like, hey, like if you want, you can play with me. And there's a second machine. You should take it up before that guy comes back. And he was like, oh, like, are you single? Because he was there and watched, the other guy playing beside me, and us, going back and forth chatting. And I guess he maybe thought like we might be together, or we came together or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm single as a Pringle. And we're playing, and just having a good time, like just giving each other, some fun and just in our element. And that same person ended up being my fiance now, Michael. And so this is your message: to go outside, take time and have a social life. Like, take part in your hobbies, have fun, get out of your comfort zone, try new experiences, like show up for your friends, be there. Like, you never know what's going to happen. And in that small encounter that I would have never seen myself in under all those circumstances, I literally found the love of my life in a bar on 6th Street somewhere playing basketball. And me and Michael have been inseparable since. And when I say that is, that night I met him, we exchanged numbers. That night also, my grandma had a stroke and was put in a hospital. She was transported out in, I think, Waco or Temple. And this is the first death in our family. And my life completely stopped. And I spent, I think, 5 days there at the hospital, iced in from the weather, because it was literally, when I say 12 degrees, like it literally was a ice and snowstorm the next day. We couldn't even leave from the hospital whenever we got there. And I was navigating the first loss of our family and a very important person. Like, it changed the whole trajectory and the whole dynamic of our family. And Michael was there consistently with me through it all, just being a sound voice and someone that I could lean on. Literally, we have been inseparable since. And he was just, there were so many people that I had come to know in my life, and he was the only person that I really wanted to lean on, and that was like, knew what I needed and would listen to me and was there to hear me and to just be there for me, even if I was of no use to him, a complete stranger that we just were super intrigued by each other. And we were able to learn a lot about each other in that time. Even in that situation, he helped just be that light in the middle of that situation. And he's always been that in every experience since. In every hard time, Michael has always really known how to put a smile on my face and to show up for me no matter what, and just take on life with me. And like, it's super important that you remember why you want to do this all, and don't build a business and sacrifice your life with it. Like, let it enhance your life and set it up in that way and protect that. Like, build your business around your family and around your why, and whatever that is, even if you don't have kids yet or have a family yet. Like, and know that seasons will change, and in those seasons, create a business that can fluctuate with you, and that you can shift your priorities, in that business, to be able to make sure that just not controlling your life and taking up everything about who you are. And so, yeah, I'm going to end on that one.